We're recording. And so good evening, everybody. Welcome to Powering Your Future. And this is with Thames Valley, Berkshire, collaboration with SSE and Pathway CTM are helping present it. So who are we and what do we do? My name's Max. I work for Pathway CTM. I'm an outreach manager. What does that mean? That means I go into schools and I run outreach sessions so that we try and bring employers to engage with students and vice versa, students to engage with employers. That's really important. And we also run sessions like tonight, webinars. Again, you engage with employers, find out about opportunities going forward. And that's what my job is about, because as students, the more times you engage with employers, the more likely you are to end up in either further education or employment. So it really stands you in good stead for the future. With me today, this evening, I've got Chris. Chris, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Max, and hi, everyone, for being live on this webinar and those that are watching it on the pre-recorded version. Yeah, really excited to be here today because at Pathway CTM, what we do and why I set up the company, I suppose, is to really help students in school, in college, really understand where you want to go to next. There might be some people here watching it who might have finished that stage of their life already. But getting to that next stage in your first job is sometimes the hardest thing. I definitely think it was one of the hardest things that I had to do because I didn't get that much support really. But Pathway CTM's there as the big brother, big sister, if you like, with people like Max, making sure that we just help you meet amazing companies. And it's our job to find good, amazing companies for you to work at. And that is why we're speaking about SSE today, who've got some amazing opportunities and really great for young people to be understanding about. So yeah, we'll be able to let you know how to get in touch with Pathway CTM and get our support and more events like this throughout the year at the end. But that's all from me for now. Well done for being on here and empowering your futures.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, so before we get started, we have got a few ground rules that we need to go through. So there is a chat box that we want you to engage with us. We may ask you some ad hoc questions, so use the chat box to answer those questions. The main one is the Q&A box. Questions that you have through the session, and when we get to the Q&A section of it, put the questions in the Q&A box because that helps us see them. We can answer them live and we can direct it to the right person who's going to have the right knowledge. You can put stuff in the Q&A box as we're talking, as we're going through the slides. I'm here to direct everything. So if we've got good questions, I can pose them to Sarah and her team of guys that she's got with her. If you want to speak, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you. I understand that for some of you that might not be comfortable, and that's absolutely fine. Use the Q&A box. Okay, we did launch a poll at the beginning. Let's have a look. So what we said already, people aware of possible opportunities at SSE, 77% said no, they're not aware of opportunities. 23% said yes. True or false, SSE deals with storm emergencies. 77% said true, 23% said false. How many people do you think SSE employs? And the highest one was 46%, said 7,000 individuals. So now I'm going to hand over to Sarah, who's going to talk about SSE, and hopefully she's going to answer those questions for us in the following slides. Sarah.
Lovely, thank you. So thank you for that lovely introduction. Myself and the team are here today to talk to you about SSE, the opportunities that we have to offer for you, but also to share with you some of our experiences about recruitment, the opportunities we have available, how we've approached those in our careers, and to really sort of share with you the best approach that you can do to help get yourself into either a company like SSE, and hopefully we'd love to have some of you come and join us, or in fact later on for any type of employment that you go through. And some of the points that Max and Chris touched on there will absolutely help as part of this interview, and hopefully you'll see what we've got to offer here. So I'm supported today by Paul McNeil, who's a member of my team, and he's one of the people that looks after the apprentices, trainee engineers and graduates that we look after. And I've also got two of our apprentices who are currently on programme with us, who have very kindly volunteered to come and talk to you this afternoon, being Mark and Adam. So they will talk to you about their journeys and their experiences. So please keep your questions ready for those guys, because they will be really happy to answer anything that you've got and share their experiences. So to tell you a little bit more from my point of view, so the reason I'm here to talk to you today is I look after the apprentices, trainee engineers and graduates that come into our family here at SSE. And as they come into their journey, we support them, make sure they get the right help and go on the career path that will set them up for the foundation blocks for the rest of their career. So you will hear a lot as we talk about people and the length of service that they've been with SSE, the different roles that they've done. And for example, I've been with SSE for 27 years and I started out from school collecting the post. So everyone's been on a different journey and a different route, and we'll touch on that as we go through to give you a little bit of experience. So if you are looking to be coming to join us at SSE, then there's lots of different ways that you can enter. The ones that we're talking about principally today are about what we call our pathways and our pipeline recruitment. So it's for those of you that are leaving school, leaving college, or perhaps looking at a career path alternative, and to know where you go to. So really interesting there that, 77% really didn't know much about the opportunities that we have on offer. So by the end of this call, trust me, I will make sure that you know lots about the opportunities that we have on offer and how you can access them, and how to give you the best possible chance to come through successfully. So we'll just move on to the next slide, and I will talk to you a little bit more about what we do here at SSE. So there's a little bit of the company blurb, so I'm going to start off with that just to set the background for you. So we're driven by our purpose here at SSE, and that's to provide energy needed today while building a better world of energy for tomorrow. We're a leading generator of renewable electricity in the UK and Ireland, and one of the largest electricity network companies within the UK. We develop our own and operate low carbon infrastructure to support the zero carbon transition. This also includes offshore and onshore wind farms, hydropower, electricity transmission and distribution, and the efficient use of gas and electricity from waste, alongside providing energy products and services. So I suppose really for me, the priority there is, what does that actually mean? That means we produce, provide electricity and fuel to keep your lights on. So the fact that you're all on a computer today, that you've charged your mobile phone, you've got your laptop charged, you're going to play your computer game, whatever it is later, without all of this stuff going on behind the scenes, it doesn't happen. And we've also got to do that in a challenging environment where we're trying to say we want to move away from the old fossil fuels to the more renewable energies and become one of the best market leaders in that world. So it's really important that we get things right and we do things in the right way. So I will move on slightly here and to just talk about one of our key values, because it's really important I share that with you at this point and anybody that comes to work at SSE. So as part of our group, everything that we do, every activity that we undertake, whether you're based in an office, whether you're based out on site, has an impact around safety and well-being. And that's one of our things here at SSE. We all have a safety license to stop if we think that something's not right, something's not safe, and we want the support. And us as a group support each other in that, from the very top to everybody that's involved. If it's not safe and it's not right, we don't do it. And we take that mantra through everything that we do to make sure that we look after you and each other and our customers and the welfare of everything that we do as an organisation.
Sarah, can I just ask a quick question?
Of course you can.
I was just going to say, so you started straight from school, is that right?
So aside from college, I went to college for 2 years after school, and I'll be honest, college wasn't the best experience for me as a young person coming through. I probably needed something a bit different. So then when I came into the workplace, I was fortunate enough to be able to learn whilst I earned, which was really important for me, and was able to do my qualifications here. So I had basic level GCSEs when I started, and an early level business course at the point. So that's where I started, and I came for a summer job. And 27 years later, I'm still here doing lots of different things, but qualifying up to degree level with the support of the company and the business through there.
Wow, okay, just a quick question there is energy, renewables, electricity, low carbon, offshore, all these types of things. Do I have to have an interest in that already before coming to SSE, or can I maybe develop that like you did, that interest?
Do you know, absolutely. SSE is one of the beauties of a company like ours is it's so huge. There's so many diverse work streams that you can get involved in. So we have administration, we have business, we have cyber security, we have our electricians, we have our engineers, we have our apprenticeship programs, we have accountants, we've got business managers, we've got people that do delivery driving, we've got the whole works. So it doesn't matter what you're interested in. If you're passionate about working, if you're keen and you're hardworking, and you understand the importance of following procedures and safety rules and living the values, then we're the company for you. And when we come on to talk about strength-based interviews later on, which we'll talk about, that's what we're really looking for. It's not so much about the academic qualification. That is really important. I can't say that it's not, it is, but we don't recruit just on that. If you get your qualifications before you come to us, you don't need to resit them. And let's be honest, no one wants to do that if you can avoid it. But if you can come to us and you can show the right behaviours, the right strengths, then you're absolutely the people we want to have, whatever your background. And probably just to touch on a point there, we've got our youngest apprentices sit at 16. My oldest apprentices are in their 50s, where they've been redesigning their job roles. So just to show it's available to everybody.
Yeah, that's good to know, actually, especially with apprenticeships, because there's always that myth that apprenticeships are for young people only. It's not. It's a wide range of people, and anybody can join. So hopefully we're starting to answer those questions about the types of how many roles are available, or what types of roles are available at SSE. I'm getting the impression it's going to be quite a lot. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So we also asked the question about how many employees that we had in there. So it's probably a good point to touch on that. So actually, as the SSE group has got 12,000 employees across all of our business areas. So big numbers, not a small organisation. You may have seen our blue vans. They used to be blue and green, but more blue now, travelling around in your local area. We recruit a lot of people within our distribution network. And when I talk about distribution network here, what I'm talking about is the people that really keep the lights on. We do storm work, so touching on that. So if the rain is raining and the wind is blowing like it was at this weekend and supplies go off, then we're an emergency service. It's really exciting stuff for the guys to get out there, and we all play a part in that. So we could be talking to a vulnerable customer on the telephone, we could be out putting their electricity back on supply, where maybe a tree has come down through an overhead line, and we'll talk about those sorts of situations. It might be helping an elderly customer in their property to be able to get their supply back on. So certainly lots of service-driven activities as well. So for people who are maybe looking at a career with, I want customer service, I want to be able to be in a caring environment, support environment, lots of roles through that point of view. So we'll move on to the next slide, and we'll just cover off a little bit more about our purpose, just to cover that off for you. So our purpose is to provide the energy that's needed today while building a better world of energy for tomorrow. To provide energy needed today while building a better world of energy for tomorrow. That's our purpose and our vision. And then strategy is to create value for our shareholders and society in a sustainable way through successful development, efficient operations, and responsible ownership of the energy infrastructure and business. So that for us is really important. It probably doesn't mean a lot to you at this stage. If you're successful in coming to join us, then it absolutely will. What I would say is, if you're looking at any organisation to come and work for them and to apply to be interviewed by them, understand their vision, understand their purpose, understand it the best you can. You don't have to be right, but to know that people have looked at the organisation makes us understand that you want to be part of that world. So what does it actually mean? So what do you think that we actually do? Does anyone want to call out what else you think we might do that I haven't covered off?
Stick it in the chat box, guys. Put it in the chat box. What do you think they actually do?
Got anything popping up? I've not got the chat box not popping up in front of me, so I don't know if you've got anything popping up there, guys.
Not yet.
I'll come through. If anyone does have any answers, whack them in now. There we go. We've got a few not sures.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Well done, Jake. Well done, guys.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit more then. So what it actually means is we make sure that the customers have electricity to their home, so that you, when you're sat at home and you're watching TV tonight, you get the electricity that comes on. You can access all the equipment and everything that you're looking for, and everything that you want to do when you get home. So I've walked in, I've come in here, the light started to go down, I've put the light on. If you don't have electricity and we haven't provided it from the very situation of producing it, right the way through and up to your front door, and even inside your house with our electricians that will come in and do your electricity inside the house, then you wouldn't have that supply in place. If the power cut goes off because a tree has come down, you wouldn't get that electricity to your house. Someone's got to come and fix that, and they've got to make sure it comes online. But we also plan and maintain the network. So think a little bit about, there's a new housing estate, I'm sure, just down the road from everybody that's on this call, just opening up and just building. How do they
Certainly is
get
down the road
power?
from me.
Yeah, absolutely. How do they get the power to their house? How do they get the supply that's going in, and what does that mean? So effectively, what you're looking at here is we have to plan. We have to have planners. We have to have designers. We have to have engineers with backgrounds that understand how the system works, how much capacity it can carry, and how it can get people in. And all of the job roles that come out the back of the program that we have to offer can be at lots of different levels. So you can start with this today and you may think, Sarah, I really don't understand what you're saying to me. I don't understand the roles that we've got. So we've got all different roles and all different entry levels. So you can come to us as a graduate who's maybe studied engineering. You can come to us an apprenticeship who is going to start out on your journey, and you're going to learn how to work on the network. And I'm going to show you some pictures in a little bit, but we'll talk about a jointer. So if you were going to be a jointer, you are going to joint together two cables under the ground to make the electricity connect and come through it. The same as if you're putting two wires together, and that gets electricity to your house, to the property, to make sure you're where you need to be. That's the kind of role that we've got. But that will involve digging it out. That might mean dealing with the customer and making sure they know what they're looking for, and they know what to expect, keeping them safe, keeping yourself and others safe. So you'll wear lots of PPE. You will make sure that you're working in all weather conditions, in all situations, to make sure your customers get looked after and get the supply that they need. It really is genuinely exciting stuff, and we work here very much as a family at SSE. So in the storm role environment, we all have roles to do. So one of my favourite roles is I organise the burger vans to go out to people's areas where they're off supply and make sure that they get a hot meal while they've got no electricity while it needs to be fixed. I also
you organise supplying the burger vans.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you do the hospitality side of things as well.
Yeah.
And just a question as well, actually, because you mentioned earlier that you joined straight from school and you went through. But did you say that you got a degree with through SSE? So
Yes.
Is that possible for people as well to start at an entry level and gain those qualifications as they go through?
Absolutely. So we have had, and we actively promote this as part of our programs. So I've been through that route as long as a lot of the colleagues that I have. Many of our managing directors and senior leaders have come through the apprenticeship programs, and they've worked their way up, and they are now part of our senior leadership team. But we actively promote that for our program. So some of our apprentices have now become trainee engineers or engineers in their own rights, not just a craft engineer. And some of our trainee engineers are going on to the graduate program. So there really truly is no limit to what you can achieve here at SSE. The extra beauty is you can completely change career path as well. So I spent a good 10 years doing credit control. That was part of my activity, and I loved and really enjoyed it. I went from doing credit control and into the world of HR. And to be fair, I'm still not entirely sure what made that transition, but the skills and the experience I got, the qualifications I gained, enabled me to identify a different path. In other organisations, I'd have to leave the company and go elsewhere to get that variety. And I think everybody who's been with the company for a period of time can share that experience.
Fantastic. Okay. That's good to hear.
Lovely, thanks. So we'll just move on and talk a little bit more about those entry pathways, because I brought some examples to share with you. So we have apprenticeship and trainee engineer programs. So let me just remind you, this can be open to anybody at any age and at any time. So you're not restricted, but there is a little bit of a guidance that may help you. So if you're at school currently, then you, if you're looking at your sort of GCSE levels, then you might be looking at coming to us through the apprentice program. Or if you've maybe done the GCSEs or maybe even A levels and you're still not sure where you want to go, then what we would be looking at there is about coming in via maybe the trainee engineer program, and there's one that suits you best. Okay, so it all depends about what you want to get involved in, what your strengths are. If you're particularly good at your maths and your physics, then the apprentice route, the trainee engineer program are the ones to go for. If you know that you're knocking that out at a higher level, then absolutely, trainee engineer is a great opportunity for you. If you're a little bit, I'm not sure, maybe look at the apprentice program and develop on to the trainee engineer program, and that pathway is there for you to follow through. For those individuals that decide, well, you know, I want to stay in education and I want to come back to it later on, you can come and rejoin any of these programs at any point. But you could go out, you could get your degree at university and then come to choose to work with us at a later stage through the graduate scheme. and come back and join. And if you just think, do you know what, I just want a little bit of a taster, you can come to us on those summer placement programs, and you can come and understand a little bit more about what we've got to offer and what's available, and is SSE a place for you. So I'll tell you a little bit more about those programs. So to give you an idea, an apprenticeship program is generally a 3-year program. And during that time, you will gain your academic qualification with us for your apprenticeship. You will gain your technical knowledge, your skills and experience. You'll get on-site experience to get that whole program completed with a lined up job at the end of that program. It is our intention that everybody who commits and works hard, we intend to offer you a position at the end of the program. And that's something we're really keen to do. We don't want to bring you in to train you and say, do you know what, there's not an opportunity at the end. We want you to come and be part of our family and stay as part of that family.
That's a really important point to know as well there, Sarah. Sorry to interrupt you, because there are a lot of apprenticeships where you will do the apprenticeship and you're not guaranteed a job in that organisation at the end of it. You may get a job at the end of it, but more often than not, you won't. So you will have the qualification, but with this, you're saying that there is a good chance that you will get a position afterwards. And you're paid all the way through doing the apprenticeship, all 3 years?
Absolutely. So what you'll start off on a salary of around £10,000 in year 1, going up to 14,000 in year 2, 19,000 in year 3 for an apprenticeship program. And when you complete and pass out, you're going to be on about £27,000 at this point in time.
Wow.
Plus any additional earnings, because we do out of hours work, you get lots of extra bonuses for that as well.
Okay, that sounds pretty good actually.
Yeah, so great opportunity, and you're doing that all the way through. We'll talk a little bit about how the program operates in a minute, but that tells you a little bit about the help and support that you get, and that's really important as well. It's not about throwing you at the deep end, and Paul will tell you a little bit about his role shortly, and that will expand a little bit about why we support and what we do to make sure that your journey is really clear as you go through. It's probably just worth noting about the energy industry itself. So when you say, do you know what, 77% of us don't really know about what opportunities might be on offer. The energy industry as a whole is a huge industry within the UK, but it's probably not seen because it's almost taken for granted, and we really shouldn't be. I'm biased, obviously, but it is about how we promote those opportunities. We have a skill shortage within our industry that we know over 20,000 employees are going to be required across the UK to fill the skills gap that we have. We have ageing workforces across our industry. There are lots of opportunities at all different levels and all different experiences. So what I would say, guys, is if you're thinking for a career that's going to be there and be there a long time, and it will evolve and be challenging and exciting, this is a really great option to consider. So have a real look at it and see what's out there. SSE itself is a top 100 apprenticeship employer, and it's worth being aware of that. Even if you don't look to come to work for us, have a look at the organisations that are out there that are in that top 100. It's a great thing to look at. You get honest feedback from the apprentices and the learners that are actually on programme. So have a little look and get a feel for that as well. I suppose we talked a little bit about exploring those pathways. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. And I suppose I've touched on the fact of you can grow to meet your own aspirations. So what you see yourself doing today might not be tomorrow, but knowing that you've got options, knowing that you've got the foundation blocks of what you want for the rest of your career, all the things we teach you are to set you up for life. I strongly believe that, because that's what somebody did for me, and my team and all of us are here to invest and to make sure that support's in place, because we want you to be the future and take our business forward. Okay. So I've touched on some of the other things that we've also offered you. So we've talked about the fact that there's electricians, there's cyber security we have on offer as well. And we do apprenticeships in cyber security. We talked about project management. We've got accountants, we've got financials, lots of opportunities here at SSE. I will expand a little bit more because the guys that I've got with me today are very much about the craft apprenticeship roles, linesmen, jointers and fitters. And we'll talk to you a little bit about each of those roles and what that programme looks like. So if I could just move on to the next slide, I've got a couple of images that I'd like to share with you. So you can see some of our apprentices here absolutely in action. So anyone want to pop in the chat box and just tell me what you think, why they've all got their blue hats on in these pictures?
Oh, yeah, go for it, guys. Put it in the chat box. Why have they got blue hats on?
Any suggestions there, guys?
None yet. None coming through. I've got my own ideas, but I'm not sure if I shared them. For protection, is it because they're doing building work? It's for safety.
Yeah. Yep. So all
safety
fabulous.
come through from Maria. Yeah. Well done, Maria.
Hard hat use for safety and falling debris in dangerous environments. Yeah, lots of safety. Somebody's asked, is it because they're an apprentice? Maybe it's to signal that they're an apprentice, maybe.
Right, bingo, that's our winner. That's our winner. So absolutely, in fact, you're all right. You're all right, because it's all about the hard hats are about safety, protecting in the working environment, what can bop you on the head and cause you a bit of a challenge. But bingo, the blue hats represent a learner. So when you're out on site, you're driving down the road and you see our guys, you'll see the majority of them with a yellow hat. When they've got a blue hat working with them, it's someone that's in training. So all of the guys here are actually real life examples taken from their portfolios that they develop to show you then doing their job in action. So they are in training. So you will see some of the situations here, but I'm going to just draw your attention to that top picture where you can see that they're on a pole. So at the very top of that pole, this is what's called our lines person job role, craft role. At the very top of that pole is the cable being carried the electricity to people's homes or from one substation to another. Our lines people undertake a role where they will connect the electricity cables at the top of that pole. If they get damaged, they'll reconnect them together and they'll make sure that the electricity flows through the air effectively. So that's what our linesmen do. And you can see you've got to be pretty much physically fit there to be doing that particular role, because you've got to climb that pole, and you can't see necessarily best from that picture, but they're on what's called spikes on the bottom of their boots, that's strapped around them. They've got 2 points of connections keeping them to the pole, and they are pulling their weight plus their belts and tools to the top of that pole. And they are then manipulating and moving that cable to get the electricity back on supply. So just to give you a little example there. Coming across to the other side of that image there, you can see a guy stood in a trench and he's bent over and he's got a cable in his hands. So he is actually someone that is a jointer. So you've got your lines person that's above in the air, and you've got the jointer that's the underground cables, and it's jointing the electricity cables together there. So that's a jointing role. You can also see other images from inside working with one of our substations in the training schools. And we have some fantastic training facilities in Thatcham, so not too far from some of you, where you can get that extra support and you can look at going through that, how to train, how to operate in the network with a really specialist team, and they're really good. You'll also see that they're working in the lower picture there with some technology and looking at the routes and the plans and the cables of where things are. One of our biggest hazards is what's beneath the ground, what might we hit, what might that cause? Are we going to cause any explosions or damage or anything else when we work through? So well done to whoever picked up on the blue hats. That's absolutely a real signal that's really clear for everybody to know that that's a learner, need to provide them with a little bit more support.
Sarah, I just wanted to ask, what about if I'm not passing maybe GCSEs or for example, I'm at my A levels and I'm not getting the best grades? Do I have to sort of get my English and maths and repeat that, or should I not apply for a brand like yours if I'm just like scraping through?
No, do you know what? We absolutely want you to still come and apply for us. Okay, so if you feel passionate about what you're hearing about, some of the roles and the exciting opportunities we've got to offer, come and apply for us. So we have in the last couple of years changed our approach to how we recruit people. Okay, so you do need to attain your maths and English, but you don't need to do that before you come to us. We will work with you, we will support you to get you through your maths and English. And actually some of the guys that would have been involved, and Paul, one of his responsibilities is to help you get you through that journey. We have specialist trainers to help with that. So don't be put off by that. If you can do it, don't give up, don't drop back, still work hard to try and get through, because it's something you don't need to do later. But please, please don't give up. I know what that feels like. Maths was never my strong point at school. It was probably the thing that really turned me off at those early stages in education, but it isn't something that's held me back at all, because I have found the right person to teach me in the right way, in the right environment and in that working environment. And we want to be the people that do that for you. Okay.
And this looks exciting because you're working outdoors. I know a lot of people don't want to be in the office all the time, and you can probably get a bit of a split on being in the office, being outdoors. But yeah, I look at this though, Sarah, and I still struggle because I'm not very technical minded. Like, but so you promise that you can learn it on the job and you don't have to like know things straight away.
Absolutely. So what we'll do is if we go over to the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about what this apprenticeship program looks like and what the makeup is. So the bit that you're seeing on site there that we've just moved on from, that is the out on site part. So your unit's made up from different things. So you'll go to college on block release. Okay, and when you go out to college on block release, you'll be staying away from home. If you're in the area that I think most of you guys are sort of around that M4 corridor at the moment, you'll go and stay at Bridgewater and Taunton College, and you will be away probably for a block of 5 weeks at a time. You'll come back at the weekends. So you'll head out on a Monday morning, you'll head back in on a Friday afternoon. But while you're there, we will look after you. We will support you. You've got the educational provider, and we will provide you dinner. We'll pay your travel and transport. We get you there. We kit you out with all your company PPE and clothing. And you can see some of the pictures of all the guys in their blues at our induction event that's there. I'll tell you about the raft a little bit later. That's something a little bit exciting that we'll talk about. But you get that college environment. So you go to college, you get the academic. You then have your on-site training with the local depot. And what that is just like we've seen there, you're out with a qualified craftsperson and they show you how to do it on site. We then send you to our Centre of Excellence Training School where you get taught how to do it correctly from the book, following the procedures. And then you get back to go and practice it with that craftsman who keep you right. While you're doing all of that, you build up an electronic portfolio that helps you prove your competence and ability. So remember here, we're working with electricity and in some cases live electricity. So we have to keep you safe as a priority. So our most important thing is to make sure you know what you're doing and why to keep you safe. As I say, we provide all your PPE or your clothing. So you've seen all those lovely blue hats and the blue clothes that they wear. You've got fluorescent jackets, you've got waterproofs. You're doing all that and you're climbing, by the way, if it's raining, with all of that on to make sure that you've got the info. And if you're in one of the jointing holes or in the fitter in the substation, you've got to make sure you've got that protection there. You also receive the salary that we touched on earlier, Max, that you mentioned, to make sure that you're earning while you're learning. And all of our opportunities come with that. Okay, so it's not just this one entry pathway. So one of the things that we do, it's a little bit different this year because we've got COVID-19 compliance. We also do a major induction event where we get all of our intake for the whole of SSE together. So over 100 apprentices usually across all of the group. So that's Scotland, because we look after Scotland as well. And down here in central southern England, we bring everyone together and we do first aid, we do safety, we do welfare. And you can see there we had raft building at our last induction event. And those guys were their building team, getting to know their colleagues that they could work with, and they had to build a raft and either sink or swim. And some swam very well and succeeded, and others didn't necessarily. So these are things that we've been developing. When you're at Bridgewater and Taunton College, you also do outward bound activities. So you will do kayaking, mountain biking and other things that will help keep your physical health and well-being really good. The facilities there are actually fantastic because you've got a gym and all sorts there that you can use as well. So the program itself, and all programs are similar. It is slightly different. If you're doing the trainee engineer program, it's a slightly different block release program. Graduates don't necessarily go off to do an academic placement because they've achieved that already, but they have placements with different business units. So again, it's a variety of options that you've got.
Actually, I was going to ask you that, Sarah, because we've had a question come through on the side. Because earlier you were showing about the jointer and the lines person. Now, they're two different jobs. One's at height, one's down, one's lower down. And I agree with this person that asked the question. I'm rubbish at heights. But if I was to join as an apprentice, would I have to do both? And what happens if I join and I'm doing one and then I suddenly discover actually heights is not for me? Is that my career over, or is that possibility, or is that what we're going to hear from the apprentices in a minute?
So I can answer that question and they'll tell us a little bit more about it. But what I would say is we, through the recruitment process, try and identify if someone does have a fear of heights. So I can reassure you, my feet do not leave the floor for anyone asking that point of view, as my team will. I don't even cross a footbridge. So that just gives you a bit of an idea of where it is. However, each of our job roles has a specific area. So we have jointers, we have linesmen, linespersons. If we are looking at opportunities for you to come and join us, we would find the one that fits with you. We also have fitters, and the guys will tell you a little bit more about it. So that's working at the grey substations in your road, a little bit more mechanical engineering from that point of view. You can come and join on any programme. We will do our best to make sure you're aligned to the right programme. We don't want you to start down one route and not find the right route. So if we find out that you don't like heights, generally, if something doesn't work, we will do our best to accommodate you moving to one of the other programs. It's not always possible because it does depend about if our course is full, we can't offer any more. However, I can genuinely say that I haven't lost anybody through that program since the time I've been doing this role over the last 5 years. We've moved them to different opportunities in the group because we are a big organisation. We do have opportunities. However, we would try and make sure that you're really clear. So just be honest. If you're in that situation, tell us what the situation is and we'll help you make that right choice. But we've certainly had people before that have gone from one program to another, and we understand that. Okay.
That's good to know. That's good to know, actually. Yeah.
Fab. So I'm gonna kind of hand over to my assistants that have come to help me with Paul and Mark and Adam. And I'm going to start, if it's okay, by just asking Mark, just to give us a little bit of background about yourself, share with everyone your journey in becoming an apprentice, where you were before, and what you've enjoyed about it, and then we'll ask Adam similar questions, really. So over to you, Mark.
Yeah, that's fine. So I started when I was 16. I just finished my GCSEs, and I really wanted to start work. Really didn't want to continue A levels, so I was happy to. It's cable jointer, and when I got the job, I couldn't believe how different every day is, and that's my main sort of happiness with the role, is that every day there's something different going on. So every day is different, really. And that's why I enjoy my job so well. And we did 2 block college sort of courses. So it's about 12 weeks worth of college. And I'm happy to pass everything. And I got my certificates last week of my qualifications. And I've done all my training now. So just getting all my portfolio built up now, and hopefully pass out in about 6 months.
Oh, that's fantastic, Mark. And I think getting that certificate part way through is the real part that says, this is my academic piece over, and now I'm just going to prove that I'm competent and able to do it, and that I'm safe to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. You said about you enjoyed the different variety. What would a typical day out jointing be like for you at the moment when you're actually out with the guys on site?
Yeah, so we go into the yard in the morning, and then we get a job through on an app, and we get told so-and-so are off, or there's a whole street off, so a mains fault, or there could just be one house off, which is like a service fault. And then we go out on site, and then we have to find the faults. You can be doing fault finding, or it could be dug out already, and we just got to connect 2 cables together. So it's always different, which is why I enjoy the job. And I'm not stuck inside either.
And I suppose that's an important point as well. You're not stuck inside. A variety. That's always what a lot of people look for. What is that different thing? Maybe not an office. Get me out of an office. I want to do things outside or elsewhere. That's brilliant.
Yeah. I just wonder, Mark, what's next for you then? So you say you're going to pass in 6 months. Like what happens next in your career?
Yep. So I've been working for SSE for just over 2 years, and so in the next 6 months, I just got to finish off my portfolio, which is you have to do 20 different joints in your job. So you sort of have to find them out on site, and then you get pictures of you doing these joints, and then you write them up and you post them onto your portfolio, and then someone will check through them and make sure you're good at each joint and that you're a good standard. And then near the end, I have to go up to a trades test up at Thatcham, and they see what speed I'm at and how good's my jointing quality. And if they're happy with that, then I pass out and I'll start as a jointer hopefully at SSE.
And you get that end part is the end point assessment as well, isn't it? So you have people come out and do site visits, like a six month trial, isn't it? You do your evidence, then they come and check you on site, support you, and make sure you know what you're doing, which is fab.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, Mark. Well, you've got the job. You're doing well in your career, but let's try and give back a little bit, because you must remember the time when you were 15, trying to figure out what you were going to do. Like just looking back at that to where you are now. What advice would you have for young people who want to try and maybe follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, definitely try and look at every sort of opportunity, because once you finish your GCSEs, those 2 years, you can either get stuck at school for another 2 years and get qualifications whether you want to go to uni, or you can look at going into a job in an apprenticeship, which is what I wanted to do. But you have to be in education for those 2 years. So your choices are really A levels or college or doing apprenticeships. So I was just looking online really at different jobs, applying to as many as possible.
Top man,
So, yes.
thank you.
Okay, and perhaps if we can go across to Adam now, just to tell us a little bit more from Adam's point of view about your experiences, if that's okay, Adam.
Yeah, that's fine. So I joined the same time as Mark did in 2018. Previous to this, I finished school and I went to Uxbridge College because I decided that I wanted to go into the electricity field. I was doing household electricity, and then when my time ended in 2 years there, I then was looking for apprenticeships and saw SSE's opportunity as a fitter apprentice. So when I joined there, it was really interesting. You get sort of bombarded with lots of new information, but everyone's there to give you a hand and help you digest it all. From the first year, I basically got a basic understanding of what the job was. So fitters, we mostly on the ground, we're not going up holes or digging holes. We're going into, as Sarah said, the grey fenced off areas down different streets and roads, which normally have warning signs about live electricity. We're going into there, we're making sure all of the switch gear, as we call it, is all in a good condition, and we maintain it to make sure it's safe and that it will continue to provide the electricity. In the first year, I did on-site training with some of the team. They're very knowledgeable, they're everything safe, and they're always there to give you a hand or let you have a go at something. They'll always be there to make sure you don't injure yourself or mess something up. I also went to Manchester. Fitters training is done at Manchester. It was 3 weeks where they cover an introduction to different types of switchgear, because you have transformers and just switches and what they do and how they do it. And then also they show you how to take things apart, how to build new things, how to put it all back together. And we also did some training at Liverpool on how to handle different substances. Like we have gas insulated switchgear, which we can't let the gas escape because it's a greenhouse gas. So we have to be trained on how to transfer it from one place to another safely without any of it leaking. Following on from that, in the second year, I was at college. I did 2 block releases of 6 weeks each. That was at Bridgewater and Taunton College. I really loved my time there. All of the teachers there were great. Again, always there to help you, and you were with all the other apprentices, so you could get help from them or ask them how they were doing in their apprenticeship. And you sort of, it's like a little community away from home and away from the depot where you can relax and just have a chat with all the other apprentices.
Adam, I've got a quick question for you, actually, if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine.
We've got a couple of year 10s, some year 11s on here as well. I just wonder, you went to Uxbridge College, so you chose to maybe move away from your school and go to college. Just could you maybe talk us through that decision-making process? Was it difficult, and how did you manage it?
So when I was at school, I was sort of deciding between different things on what I wanted to do. I was always interested in how things work and why they do things the way they do, and I wanted something practical. So electricity, and because I liked physics and maths, electricity sort of just seemed the right thing for me to go into doing. And I actually had quite a lot of teachers saying I should stay on and do A levels, but I wanted to do practical side. I didn't really want to sit in a classroom for much more. And when you go to college, if you're doing a course like I did, which was electrical installation, you are doing, it's a bit of classwork for the knowledge, but you are actually doing practical elements as well. And it's, to me, it was just really interesting, which is what swayed me over to the college side. And then from college, they normally try and get you to look at apprenticeships to further expand your knowledge and get into a workplace.
That's brilliant. So was it actually things in your sort of physics and maths lessons that made you think, oh, potentially I'll go and research this area a little bit more? It sounds like you've done what the dream thing and really, you know, followed your passions there.
Yeah, I know I think it was mostly physics at school because we touched a little bit on electricity, and I was instantly attracted to it, really. Yeah, I think that's how I came to want to do it so much.
That's amazing. Do put in the chat box, guys, if anyone else is interested in your sciences and your physics, because maybe you could go down that route too. Thanks very much, Adam. That's really interesting.
Actually, one point I want to pick up on there as well, Chris and Adam, is I was interested in what you said about the fact that maybe you were getting a bit of pressure from your teachers to go on and do A-levels. One of the things that we like to talk about, the fact is that A-levels is not for everybody. So what's out there? And that's why sessions like these and coming to them is really useful to learn about them. Apprenticeships are out there and big companies like SSE do them. Question that I've got for you, Sarah, or any of you guys, is how many apprentices a year do you actually take on?
So on average, across all the different, so we're made up of 7 different companies within SSE. As a rule, we're taking about 100 in apprentices and training engineers over a year.
Okay.
That varies. I can give you an idea. So the graduate program's been stepped up in the last year, for example, and we took 67 graduates on their own that started with us in September. We have slightly delayed the start of our apprentices and training engineer programs this year, just because of allowing colleges to flow through. But certainly we're looking at 50 coming into our business area, and I think across the piece we're looking at that 100 mark as well. So yeah, on average about 100. That's Scotland and in the south, but always opportunities, particularly in this M4 corridor and this area that we're looking at here today. It's a real hotspot for opportunities for people.
And that's great to hear. There's definitely opportunities out there, guys. I know some of you may be thinking, like, in the situation at the moment, nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's happening in the future. But we want to reassure you that, you know, things are still moving on in the world of business and work. There are opportunities out there. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open as well. And it's good to hear both from Adam and Mark, 2 different experiences. One who went straight from finishing GCSEs and going on to an apprenticeship, and one who went on to college and then on to an apprenticeship. Those options are there for you. Yeah, I mean, I could throw in a few cheesy jokes like physics sparked your interest there, Adam, into electricity, but I'll leave that to somebody else. So we've got 15 minutes to go. What are we doing next, Sarah?
So I'd like to move on now, and Paul and myself will just talk a little bit about the interview process, because what we thought would be a great opportunity for us to share with you is about what to expect when you go through the interview process. With us, it's different for every employer, but there's lots of things that we can share with you. So what I've brought along today, just to break it up from the boredom of listening to me and the team, is to hear some videos from different members of our team. So first of all, we use strengths-based interviews. So this is not about your academic qualifications. This is about your behaviours, your standards, and everything that you're looking to offer and what you've got. So first of all, we've got John Stewart, who's our HR director, just telling us a little bit about the move and why we changed away. So if we could just listen to that one first of all.
We're going to test my technological skills here. Hopefully this should all work. Bear with me.
We're changing our approach to apprentice recruitment. We want to be more inclusive as an organisation. We realised our approach, which was kind of based on qualification, educational attainment, was missing the opportunity to look at people who have got great skills that will make them successful with SSE. So we wanted to move away from looking at academic qualifications to looking more at the kind of skills and abilities that people can bring to us for the future. Our new approach is that we are looking at innate strengths. We're looking at the kind of things that people do regularly, frequently, well, on an ongoing basis. We think that's more important than the academic qualification side of things. So we're looking at things like resilience, we're looking at learning agility, we're looking at safety, and we're looking for evidence of the things that people enjoy that will help them in their career with us.
So just sort of expanded on that one before we move on to the next video, guys. I think what's really important here is it is a step change. It's away from those behaviours. Yes, we still want you to get them and you still need to attain to get your next qualification with us. But if you do things, so Adam, you mentioned there about your real passion for the physics side of it and how it works. If you do things at home, so if you're mechanically minded and thinking that fitting, so if you tinker with bikes or skateboards or anything like that, or you like to build things, great opportunity here to look at. If you are someone who is caring or offering customer service by looking after people, you do a part-time job, you've done your Duke of Edinburgh Award, all of those experiences count, and you should never undersell them. They make a real difference. We can tell at interview the people very, very quickly who have expanded their knowledge and worked a little bit more. You don't have to be the best at everything else, but you'll learn more communication skills, you'll learn how to talk to people, you'll recognize some of the things that we're looking at here. So looking at those behaviours, we're looking at all the things that you need to do, and we're looking to recognise the best traits and behaviours that we'll see, what your personal strengths are and that match to us at SSE. So making sure you know how to follow the guidelines and everything that we've got. So one of the big changes we did this year with COVID-19, and it's something that's here to stay, is we moved much more to online recruitment. So we absolutely have completed our whole recruitment campaign online this year. So all the assessment centres, all the interviews have been done on a screen like we're talking here with myself and Paul, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. But again, I'm going to show you this next little video clip, which is from our recruitment team, and they've shared some of the hints and tips. Then I'm going to tell you, and Paul will tell you, just some of the things we've experienced seeing people do, so you know what not to do.
Like with any interview, the more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel. So make sure that any device you're using is fully charged, that the internet connection works in the room you're going to be doing the interview from, and that your webcam and audio are working well, and do this well ahead of the day.
Video interviewing will probably feel really strange to begin with, but by asking a friend or a family member to do a video conference with you to try and practice some interview questions is a good way to try and learn to feel a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. It can certainly help you prepare.
Pay careful attention to your surroundings. Make sure the backdrop is well lit and your surroundings are neat and tidy.
Dress appropriately, just like you would for a face-to-face interview.
Ensure you have all the relevant documentation to hand, such as your CV, the job description and any notes that you might need. Also make sure that your phone is on silent and you close down all the open tabs in your browser, and you've made everybody else in your household aware not to disturb you.
Get yourself a glass of water and arrive, albeit virtually, in plenty of time, the same way you would for a face-to-face interview.
You can't shake hands, but first impressions do still really matter. Don't forget to smile.
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 And just be yourself.
If during the interview the video or the audio is a little bit glitchy and you're struggling to hear, mention it to the interviewers. It might be something that's easily fixed.
Stay focused on the camera, make good eye contact, listen to the interviewer and show enthusiasm for what they are saying.
If you're asked a question and you need a moment to think, just pause and take a sip of water before you answer.
Technology sometimes can fail. Stay calm. If you are the interviewer, get disconnected, dial back in. Make sure you've got an alternative contact on hand in case it does fail. Hello? Yep. Yeah, it's failed. Can we continue on the phone? Right, thanks. Appreciate that.
Do your research and be prepared to ask some good questions at your interview. It will hopefully spark up some good conversation, which is the perfect opportunity to let your personality shine.
Okay, so thank you. So we just pause there for a second. So Paul and I have been doing a lot of interviews on the virtual online. It is really important to prepare and be prepared for what that you can expect. We have had people turn up where they haven't got a top on. Okay, so I'm just going to put that out there. That doesn't give us the best impression. Really? Yeah, absolutely. So wow. It's really important that we share some of those things. I think we see you in the same way you see us, and that also includes some of our interviews are recorded with the computer. The computer asks you the question, you relay it, and then we assess it later on as an early stage. So remember, we see and we hear all of that. So when you're going, oh no, it's not gone quite right, just remember we can see those things as well. We want to get the best out of you. We're not here to catch you out, and no recruiter is looking to do that. We just want to get the right info for you. We want the best person for the job. But take a little bit of time and to plan and to prepare. Make sure you know about your organisation that you're going to be going to see, because they want to know that you're interested in them and really, really care. So again, a real life example, when I said, well, what have you learned about SSE? Tell me a little bit that you've heard, is actually I thought you were going to tell me when I came for the interview. And I was really disappointed by that, if I'm honest with you. So I want to know that you've got an interest in me and are giving me the time, the same way as I'm investing in you and preparing to interview you and learn about you as well. So it's just things that we can think about. Paul, do you want to give a top tip from the point of view of the interviews, from the ones that you've done, that you'd like to share with the guys here as we go through?
Yeah, I mean, we take a lot of interest in the people being interviewed, and we like to interact with them. So, and we do put a lot into the way that you interact with us as a person. You know, we like to see the person that we're employing, and not a face that you're putting on for the interview, because it can be, we can see through things like that. As Sarah said, I've had one guy doing his recorded interview whilst he was laying in bed. Not best impression for us. And as the interview tip said, dress as you would for a face-to-face interview. It does mean a lot to us that you've actually made the effort to do that. It does show that you really want this, and that's what we want. We want people that want the jobs, and we want people that we can train, that we can mould, and we can take through for the rest of their careers.
Lovely. So thank you for that, Paul. So what we're going to do now is, I think, probably just let you know a timeline very quickly about the recruitment. So if you were looking to come to join us, if you're looking to join our graduate programme to start in September 2021, the adverts are on the board today. If you're looking at joining our apprenticeship or trainee engineer programme for September 2021, those adverts go live in January. So very much different for different organisations. But if you're looking for an organisation like ours and the side of ours and the volume, you are going to have that kind of lead time. So just be aware of that. But I want to just leave you to have a little think now before we go on to any final questions, of what our learners have said and what they want to share. So there's a little video here for you, just to wrap it up. It's not too long.
The best thing about being an SSE apprentice?
Industry-leading training.
Helping people. Earning money to do the things I enjoy.
My mentor.
Views.
The views.
Being part of the team.
Getting really good at something.
Working outdoors.
In all weather.
No student loans.
Knowing that I'm contributing towards something big.
A greener future.
Come and join us.
Come join us.
Come and join us.
Come join us.
One more time.
Lovely. So thank you for that, Max. So from our point of view, that's the end of what we wanted to share with you today. So I'll hand back over for any questions or anything you want to ask us, really, as a team.
Go for it. Remember to ask your questions. Stick them in the Q&A box. You've got the team here. You've got apprentices here. You've got recruiters here. Ask away. There were some really good tips in those videos, I've got to say. Good to hear some of them as well. And I can speak, before I joined Pathway CTM, I worked for a company as a recruiter. I used to recruit apprentices, and I can definitely agree with some of the points that were said. When you've got to think about these things when you're attending, especially online interviews. It's still an interview. Be prepared for it. Do your research about the companies as well. And also, from what we heard from the apprentices, really look at the opportunities that are out there and available. There's lots of opportunities depending on what you're interested in. And a company like SSE, as we've heard today, we saw those poll results at the beginning. Not a lot of you were sure about what opportunities were available. Hopefully now you'll understand that there's a lot of opportunities. A company of 12,000 people, so many different roles. Sarah spoke about them. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot.
I just wonder, Paul, just to bring you back in, just fine. I know we're meant to be finishing on the hour, but what are the advantages of working for a big company such as SSE?
Well, I mean, just recently, Chris, obviously with the coronavirus, COVID-19 about, I mean, we've looked after all our apprentices. We've kept them in work. Obviously, they've had to work from home, but being a larger company, we've been able to sort them out with workbooks to make sure that their mind is still active. We've looked after them. They've been paid 100% of their wages all the time they've been working from home. And I just believe that the company does care. So, you know, it is a good place to work, and it's a great place to come and learn.
Yeah,
I think that's the extra support that someone like, we've got people employed dedicated like Paul to support our learners, give them the extra support they need. So if something's not quite right, you've always got someone there to look after you, keep you on track, give you the support, and make sure you're getting every help you can need, from a welfare point of view to keeping you on programme, or just to find the right person to support you if you need a bit of extra help.
That's really valuable to hear, and that's good to hear at this moment in time. When you think about it, guys, those of you that are thinking about taking on apprenticeships, companies spend a lot of time thinking about how best to support those apprentices, because they want you to be successful. They're investing a lot of money in you, and they really want you to be successful. You've heard it today from Sarah and from the two apprentices, Mark and Adam as well, what they go through and the amount of things that they're given. Just briefly, in the chat box, Chris has put in a link to a survey that we'd like you to fill out. Fill that out. Only takes a minute to do, and that will help us tailor the sessions and get some feedback about our session with SSE and Thames Valley Berkshire and Pathway CTM as well. So yeah, have we got any questions, guys? Don't be shy. Put the questions in the chat box if you got them, or even the Q&A is where we want them, but anywhere at the moment we'll do. Any final top tips from anybody about being an apprentice or joining a company like SSE?
Yeah, do it.
Do it.
You won't regret it.
I think
I'm
the
sure
variety
Mark and
you've
Adam
got.
will agree with you.
I do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I've just got a comment. I've got a comment here from Jake. Well done, Jake, who's been here the whole time, right from the beginning. This is my first webinar, and I found it very interesting. Thank you very much. So, Jake, it's awesome that you're getting into this online learning. And Sarah, I suppose, who knows, Jake could be interviewing across the screen from you, because that's how it's going these days, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And myself and Paul have sat, and we have interviewed hundreds of people over the last couple of months to come and join us. It's always a pleasure to get to meet new people, and absolutely someone that's signed on to these groups will learn a lot more. Your experience of doing this will make you feel more confident. It certainly worked for me and Paul, to be fair, because we hadn't done this in this kind of variety before. So absolutely, come learn more. Look at the job pages and the career pages and all of those websites, but go along to as many of these as you can. Get the experience you can, whether it's with us or anybody else. It's really important to look at your options and explore everything. Don't think, I'm not going to look at that company, because explore a little bit deeper. The variety is there. As I say, big organisation like us, chance to change career, develop, and career pathways. You could be our next managing director if you come in the door as an apprenticeship today, and that is the reality when you look at where our guys have come from. So come and join us, as the guys on the video said.
And that's a really important point to finish on as well. I say, Sarah, yeah, definitely look around, explore those opportunities, and that's where attending sessions like this are really going to help you with your future, because it really shows that you're learning, you're expanding your knowledge, and you're making a better decision for your future. So thank you, Sarah, for coming and presenting today, and thank you also to Paul, to Mark, and to Adam for supporting, and thanks for all of your input. Really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Thank you. Thank you to Chris as well. And guys, go and enjoy your evening. That's the end of the webinar. Thanks for attending. Remember to look at the Pathway CTM website, sign up, especially students. You'll find out more about webinars like this, about more events with employers, and how to get engaged and how to make that next step for your future. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.